It's been a long time. You get comfortable. Get ready to do some ATPing.
No clap.
Oh, and clap. Right on the beat drop. Thank you. Yeah, I'm getting a little rusty here. The ATP podcast. We're back once again. It's your boy Jay with Mark Figueroa in the building. This is post Wimbledon. This is during the Olympics. We've been gone for 2 weeks, I think. I think it's been 2 weeks. We apologize. We're back. I don't know for how long. We're going to try to stay weekly as long as we can. And maybe build up some content for the weeks we missed. So, how are you feeling?
Good. There's a lot of drama, especially on the women's side. So it's good content for sure.
Okay, this is episode 191. And for the record, to our Apple listeners, if you switch over to Spotify or YouTube, you can see these in video format. I just want to rebroadcast that and restate that. And to our YouTube viewers, if you're watching a snippet or if you're just watching it on video, you can always go listen audio only on any place that plays podcasts. ATP Podcasts Around the Post. Jay here, Mark Figueroa. Just want to, I feel like we never really go over that when we do episodes. We just start talking right away. Where do we start today?
We're going to start with a very interesting list. So ESPN had their top 100 athletes of the 21st century. And we're just going to cover the tennis list. So no Novak or Roger at the top. We have Serena was the number 2 athlete of the 21st century overall.
Okay.
And the number 1 tennis athlete. Then you had Federer as the number 6 athlete. Djokovic at 11. Nadal at 12.
Wow.
Are you mad at that list?
I'll start from the bottom and work my way up. First and foremost, this is top 100 athletes.
Correct.
So that means we're going to talk athleticism, right? That can be a little bit of a debate. Who is the most athletic of the men's big three? And what I define athleticism as is not a direct correlation with success, right? I think Gael Monfils is probably in the top 20 most athletic tennis pros of the last decade. You know, is he one of the best players of the last decade? No, he's not. And with that being said, as far as athletic shots go, I think that Federer might be the most gifted athlete of the big three as far as creativity, what he does with his body and his racket, and the way he moves on a court. Then I'd probably say Nadal is the most physical athlete of the big three as far as how he uses his body and his strength to dominate on the court. And to me, Djokovic is a little bit more of the clean-cut, traditional, formal. I would say he might be the least quote-unquote athletic outside of his flexibility of the big three. So I like the order. I do think that they're interchangeable and debatable, though. I really do.
So you think Serena being the top tennis player is good?
I actually do like it. I think that she did a good job of accomplishing what she did with her physicality. She was physically superior to her competition for a very long time, right? She was muscling players off the court. She was hitting through players. She doesn't have an actual rival in her career. I think all these speak to her superior athleticism for a very long stint of time. So yeah, I do think that on paper, you can debate whether or not she's the greatest tennis player ever, but I don't think you can really debate that she was physically superior to all of her peers.
Okay. Yes, you're right. As far as she overpowered everybody.
Yeah.
Biggest serve on the women's tour. She was competing with some men as far as pace was concerned. Obviously, if you go with accolades, you're going to go with Djokovic as the best.
Yeah, of course.
Player. But yeah, I could see that for sure. But here's another interesting one. According to ChatGPT, top 10, Federer, Djokovic, nor Nadal are even on the list.
That's ignorance.
So, do you want me to go over the list real quick?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Jordan at 1, Ali at 2, Serena at 3, Jackie Robinson at 4, Babe Ruth at 5, Jim Thorpe at
Babe Ruth.
Yes. Jim Thorpe at 6, Michael Phelps at 7, Jesse Owens at 8, Magic Johnson at 9, and Tom Brady at 10.
Interesting. I think that people often confuse success or statistics or accolades with being a great athlete, right? You know why I like Michael Jordan? He's considered a GOAT in the sport he played in, and then he played professionally in another sport.
Right.
That's incredible athleticism. And he's not the only athlete who's been able to play pro at 2 different sports. But I think that he's probably the only one who's considered a GOAT in one and qualified to be a pro in another. Now, how good was he in baseball? That's a different conversation. But nonetheless, I like Jordan at somebody's number 1. I'm not mad at that. But yeah, come on, Babe Ruth. What are we talking about? That's a Hall of Fame legend. That is not a top 10 athlete in history, in my opinion. So yeah, ChatGPT, a little ignorant there. Some of those, for me, it's just, I really strongly believe Federer's athleticism, he's a gifted player, even other pros talk about how he makes the sport look, and that's something a true athlete can do. That's it. So, I think ChatGPT, let's keep in mind that those systems, all they do is pull information from the internet and then organize it into a cleaned up answer for you. So,
yes.
So it's just gathering information from other places that are probably unreliable.
Yeah, that's true. So now we're going to move on with a little bit of Simona Halep news. Obviously, she came back from the doping, but she hasn't been playing all that much because she just announced that she's been having a knee problem and that she's going to take an extended break until some news of her knee comes around. But she sent an Instagram post saying that she'll keep the fans updated with the injury. What are your thoughts on her? Do you think her career is pretty much over?
I try not to wish that on people, but you've heard my thoughts on knee injuries, and we've also heard Novak Djokovic's responses to that. So it's hard to make judgment calls anymore on what an injury means. We have the Novak Djokovic knee injury that leads to a Wimbledon final. Then we also have the Nick Kyrgios or Roger Federer knee injury where they disappear completely off the face of the earth. And everyone else that's in between that. So with Simona Halep, who's so movement and counterpunching reliant, I do hope she's able to get to 100% on her knee, because if she's anything short of 90%, I don't know if it's worth it for her to be on the tour with a compromised knee and her play style. She's not a power hitter. She's not a shot maker. She is a sequence creator. She creates plays and sequences. She's a trickster. She does counterpunching. She's movement reliant. So, yeah, I think she might be in trouble.
Yes, I agree. She really depends on movement. Not a big hitter, not a big server at all.
Yeah.
So she beats Serena with movement.
Yeah.
So if she can't move, I don't see how she's going to make a career.
Yeah.
So hopefully she gets better. So moving on with Vondrousova, she's been struggling with an injury as well. I'm shocked that she even played at Wimbledon because maybe because she was the defending champion, but she did lose in the first round.
Yeah.
And she did withdraw from the Olympics. Any thoughts?
Not any in particular, but like you said, I'm sure there was some pressure to show up to something you're the reigning champion at, and at least show face and just see what can happen. And she got her answer, and that's probably the deciding factor in what she was going to do at the Olympics as well, which isn't going to impact her ranking, so why even go there and risk it? So, yeah, it's unfortunate, but I'm sure she'll be back.
Yes, I agree. And now the big news. We're going to start. The Americans definitely had a rough couple of days at the Olympics. A lot of drama here. So we're going to start with the news first. Coco Gauff and LeBron James were flag bearers for Team USA. A lot of people and commentators were saying that was a lot of pressure for Coco Gauff to be a flag bearer, and that may have been a reason why she lost.
I don't believe that.
Okay, would you like to elaborate?
I really don't think that being a flag bearer is that impactful on Coco, who has won the U.S. Open? Do you know what it's like to be in the center stage of a U.S. Open as an American in the final? I personally think that was greater pressure for her than bearing the flag and then going to not play for points. Maybe if she got a little deep in the Olympics, I could see where the pressure could show up. But yeah, I really don't think there's a connection between being the flag bearer and her performance. We're just starting to respect her clay court game. We're just starting to respect her on all surfaces. We're just starting to respect her as a favorite at major events. She was not a favorite to win the Olympics. I'm sorry.
Maybe silver or
bronze. Maybe medal. I thought maybe she could medal, but in my opinion, if you're picking anyone that's not Iga Swiatek to win the Olympics, you're crazy. Just the bottom line, it's at Roland Garros on clay. What are we talking about here? Yeah, I think that if there should have been anything on Coco Gauff's mind, it was how I would think she's confident in herself to do bronze or silver, and the pressure's really in how could I possibly get gold here? That's something to be concerned with. So, yeah, I just don't believe that. I think that maybe some of the commentators saying that aren't as well versed in tennis. But what do you think? Do you think that maybe the flag is really that big of a thing? Do you think that's possible?
I mean, I don't know. I think that you pretty much nailed it with being in so many high-pressure situations, being at a final, a couple semifinals. That holds a lot of pressure. Obviously, holding the flag does bring pressure in itself, but I don't think that maybe was in the back of her mind, honestly. Mm-hmm. But now we're going to get to the match. Mm-hmm. She was up 5-2 in the first set against Donna Vekic, who is red hot right now, by the way. She made it to the semis, lost to Paolini, longest semifinal Wimbledon match ever. Mm-hmm. So Vekic is hot. She won today as well. So she's in the semis, I believe. Mm-hmm. So she's playing well. Yeah. But up 5-2, lost the set. Then she went down 4-1, got to 4-2, and then here's where the drama came in. Mm-hmm. It's 30-40. Coco Gauff is serving, and this has happened to her before. She hits a serve, the ball is returned deep, and then the line judge calls it out, but the chair umpire overruled it. Mm-hmm. So they went with the chair umpire's call, obviously, and then the chair umpire said, the call didn't affect you. My call didn't affect you. So since you didn't get the ball over, you lose the point. So now she loses that game, which would have put her at 4-3. Yeah. Yeah. And now she's bawling. Now it's an injustice. This happened to me at the French Open. I have to fight for myself. You guys don't treat me right. Serena had to go through this as well. And then I will say this. The umpire did say, I could be wrong. The way you reacted, maybe I'm wrong, but I have to stick with that call. Again, let's start with the one thing. Do you think that there should be some video to overrule the umpire? This has happened a lot lately, especially in Coco Gauff matches. Yeah.
You know what the tricky part is with this situation is video is not going to really provide resolution to this conflict because we're all agreeing the call was wrong. The ball was playable, or the ball was out. The correction is not what's being argued. It's what we're going to do about the correction. That's the argument. And it's interpretive. It's, in my opinion, someone basically created a let. There was a yell out that was corrected by another person. We should just restart this whole point. That's what I think. That's fair. I think that should just be the process and procedure. Unless it's an outright winner that couldn't be touched. Right. It clearly wasn't. But, umpires feel a lot of pressure to not change their mind after they make a statement. And I think that is what maybe needs to be changed, is less pressure on umpires to stand by their initial opinion. Because sometimes in the heat of the moment, their adrenaline goes down and they go, oh, wow, maybe I am in the wrong. They can't say that, though. Because now you look indecisive and you look like you're, what's the word? I don't know. You're not qualified to do your job. That's how you appear when you're changing your mind on the spot live in a match. So I think that maybe we need to change that culture in the sport of tennis and give umpires the opportunity to change their mind about things without looking like a lesser umpire. But ultimately, I really do think if there's a correction made on a line call, just replay the point.
Yes,
unless it's a winner.
I agree there because she definitely had a play on it.
Yeah.
And she did touch it.
Yeah.
And she tried to say that she swings up and that a ball isn't struck by swinging up. I found that very funny because a lot of the time she over-exaggerates lifting up her leg and she swings up too. But I thought that was a funny defense. But here, yeah, she touched it. She definitely had a clear angle at the ball.
Yeah.
And this has happened to her before. So I think that rule needed to be changed. The supervisor was called and the supervisor even said, well, the chair umpire's in charge. I'm not going to overrule what he said. I'm sorry. So that's what happened. So now let's talk about the injustice, standing up for yourself. She said that Serena had to deal with this and now she does. What are your thoughts on that comment?
Is it true Serena had to deal with this and now Coco Gauff is also? Yes. Is Serena and what Serena went through the exact same and this ongoing pattern on the tour that is now trickling over to Coco Gauff? I don't think so. I don't think that this is necessarily people out to snipe the black African-American tennis player at Roland Garros. I don't think that's actually what the issue is. I think that there's a systematic issue at these tournaments with umpires. I think this issue happens to other players too that are men or don't look like Coco Gauff and Serena Williams. I think that she's right though. I think that Serena had this issue. I think she has this issue. I think that she's doing a good job of blowing it up and using the right, labelings to make this more for a media frenzy. But I think that what she's going through is a problem. And I think that the solution is probably just replaying the point.
Yeah, that is completely fair. Yeah. And Serena actually did want to destroy line judges.
Oh, for sure. And look, Serena is famously actually cheated at multiple slams.
Right.
It's on video. She was blatantly cheated out of points. Serena wasn't wrong. Serena was only wrong when she said she wanted to stuff the tennis ball down the lady's throat.
Right.
Okay, that's a lot. I get it. You're in the heat of the moment. You're an athlete. That's still a lot. That's a lot. So outside of that, though, let's not pretend that these players haven't been outright, blatantly cheated out of points, out of situations, out of scenarios when extremely crazy things are at stake that these umpires maybe don't understand. That is happening still to this day. And if Coco Gauff is trying to articulate that and maybe she just said it wrong, okay, I get it.
Yes, Serena was accused of foot faulting. And at that point, you couldn't really challenge a foot fault. So she would lose big points at that time. And as you stated, if you just are able to see that I think should be challengeable. The other one is you just have to replay the point, especially when she touches the ball. Yeah. For sure. But now going on, now she's down 5-2. She's up 3 break points and did not close did not close that game. Donna Vekic is being booed by the crowd now. Gauff has momentum. She's down love 40. Donna Vekic on her serve. She could have broke her back. Yeah. And she couldn't get back. She couldn't get out of her own way. And poor shot selection, short returns, and that cost her. Honestly, Donna Vekic was trying to give her the game. And then it would have been she held and now have her serve for it. Yeah. But I just think that she wasn't ready for the moment. Yeah. A lot of people are accusing her of being a choke artist, not ready for the moment. What do you think?
I think that there's this famous, I don't know if it's a famous quote. There's a quote. I won't call it a famous quote. There's a quote from actually Novak Djokovic. And he says, not to judge a man by when he gets out of character. Judge a man by how quickly he finds his character again when he loses it. And he's the prime example of that. This is a guy who loses himself on the court, looks insane on the court, looks like a nut job when he plays tennis, how quickly does he get recentered and play high-level tennis again in a match? Very quickly. Very quickly. Within a 5-set match, he can do it. I think Coco Gauff struggles with when she's exiting her own body mentally, how to regather herself and get back to her best self on the court in the moment. I think she really struggles with reeling it in before the match is over. And the match kind of gets away from her and she loses. I think that that's something that can be honed in on. That's something you can improve on. In fact, we saw how many times Djokovic let matches fully exit him in the early phases of his career. And he didn't start playing better tennis. He got better mentally. I think Coco's going to have to face some type of journey like that where she learns how to recenter herself and make her low line of her game a bit higher. When she's having her worst days, make those better days than what they currently are. She's the only person in the top 5, I think, that really has these weird moments where she could be playing her best tennis, and if there's an unusual mishap, a bad scenario, it can slip away and never come back again in that match. I think she's the only one. Maybe Sabalenka, but I feel like she just has a lot of off-court drama sometimes.
That's true.
Not necessarily that she's losing it on court from an on-court problem. You know, she more so is having off-court issues. So I think Coco's the only one that really has internal frustrations that ruin the ending of a game.
Yeah, I agree. She needs to work through it. And once she does, she'll become a better player.
Yeah.
But now we're going to talk about the other American, Navarro, who beat Coco Gauff at Wimbledon. Mm-hmm. She had a problem with Qin Wen. I'm just going to read the quote. When they were shaking hands, she pretty much said, "I just told her I didn't respect her as a competitor. I think she goes about things in a pretty cutthroat way. It makes for a locker room that doesn't have a lot of camaraderie, so it's tough to face an opponent like that, who I really don't respect. Kudos to her. She played some great tennis, but I don't respect her." What are your thoughts on Navarro on Qin Wen?
Navarro said that about Qin Wen?
That is correct.
I want to congratulate Qin Wen for living rent-free in someone else's head without a visa or passport to go there. So wherever her mind is located, you're living there rent-free. You guys are in an individual sport playing for money to beat each other. Unfortunately for you, Navarro, there's no reason why she should feel a need. You guys aren't in a federation. You're not in a corporation. You're not in some business venture together. You guys are private contractors that go from business to business to business performing for them. And whether you win or lose determines your livelihood. If she doesn't want to be friends and yuppie with you, and you're even admitting you respect that she can play good tennis, I don't really understand what the issue is here. She doesn't care about your camaraderie. She doesn't care about your culture. She doesn't care. I respect that. Would I be probably pretty cool in the locker room? I think I would be. I think I'd get along with Navarro great. I like nice people too. But I also have a very deep respect for a cutthroat savage in any sport. If you're going to go out there and you're out for blood, and then when you go into that locker room, you pack it up, clean up your suitcase like an assassin would, and you get out the building, I like that. I also have a lot of respect for that. This is not football. This is not basketball. You're not a gymnastics team. You're not bowlers. You're not friends, you know? So I guarantee you when the two of you finish your careers in tennis and you go your separate ways and retire, you'll probably never see each other again. And Qin Wen is not going to go, dang, I should have been nice to Navarro back then. She's not, you know? So I think that Navarro should probably... I'm not saying that she's wrong, but what I am saying is she needs to get those things off her mind. If those things are plaguing you and bothering you, it's probably getting to you on the court as well.
How are you not wanting to beat a player that you don't respect? That should be incentive to step up and beat them more. Mm-hmm. So I didn't understand that at all. I don't want to say that's weak-minded, but that's when you step up and you really go for their throat.
Yeah.
And say, I'm going to get you right now.
Yeah.
So Qin Wen did say, and I'm going to read what she said. So she said that she told her she doesn't understand how she has a lot of fans with her attitude. And then Qin Wen said, if she's not happy about my behavior, she can come and tell me. I would like to correct it to become a better player and a better person.
Wow. And she gave her that I'm the bigger person response? Wow.
Yes.
That might be psychological warfare at its finest.
What are your thoughts on that?
I didn't even anticipate. I was trusting Navarro's word on what she said and assuming Qin Wen was a terrible person. But that response is either very calculated and petty or it's honest and genuine. And in either scenario, I support it. So this is funny. It does make me wonder a little bit about Navarro. Why not have that conversation with her? I mean, we've seen some of the other players on the tour say some very surprising things on camera, on the court, before they get to the locker room. So I can only imagine what gets said in locker rooms. But yeah, this one's kind of funny. I hope that they run into each other again at the U.S. Open or something. I would like to make this a movie. Let's make it a trilogy. Let's get part 3 at the U.S. Open and see if they can have a Holger Rune, Stan Wawrinka conversation at the net.
Oh, there you go. And it was a very tough couple of days for Coco. She also lost with Pegula, and she lost the mixed doubles Fritz.
Wow.
With against Team Canada, Ali Asim. So
that's tough because if you want to talk about where Coco might have been a favorite, doubles is probably it.
Right. So now we're gonna get to the Iga Danielle Collins drama, and the Danimal strikes again. So I'm gonna go in order. So at first, Danielle Collins, Iga, she does this a lot. And she and people online are saying she's learning from Nadal really well. So every time something gets in her line of sight, she always raises her racket. And she's been accused by fans that she's trying to slow the server down and get momentum. Danielle Collins yelled to her because she kept doing it constantly. And then she said, "You play at the pace of the server." So that was strike one right there. Then I believe it was at the end of the first set. Second set. She took a long bathroom break. And again, people online were saying maybe if she would have won that set, she wouldn't have taken that break. But now she decided to take it to slow down momentum. Then in the beginning of the third set, Collins nailed Iga right in the chest. Boom. Backhand. It was around the stomach area. Knocked her down. Wind out. And Collins did a casual, "Are you okay?" type thing. And then at 4-1, she retired from the match, Danielle Collins. Again, she's getting a lot of flack for that because she immediately played doubles a couple hours later. But here's where the drama comes in. If that wasn't enough drama, Iga came up to her and said, "Apologies. I hope I don't know if I'm going to be able to play with you again. This is the end of your career, you know." She said, "I don't like fakeness. Don't be insincere about it." And then in a press conference, she said, "People come out sincere on camera, but behind closed doors, they're not." So that was Danielle Collins on Iga.
I like Danielle Collins. I like her. I like her a lot.
Do you want to go step by step, or do you just want to answer everything in general?
I don't know. Tell me what to say. What am I responding to?
All right. First off, do you agree with Danielle Collins saying you need to go the pace of the server?
1,000% yes. I 100% agree that it is your job to follow the pace of the server. You are taking control of momentum if you don't. And I also think that if you have an issue with the crowd, you're supposed to use your umpire. It's not supposed to be player to crowd interaction ever. So once again, if there really is an issue, if there is, reach to your umpire, explain to them what's going on in the crowd, let the umpire address the crowd. If you're not doing that, to me, a professional tennis player knows to do that, and so they are purposely not doing it. So I agree with Danielle Collins there.
She did that against Osaka at the French Open, and that's where she got teary-eyed when she said, we're playing for a ton of money. It comes down to a couple of points. So she does that a lot.
Yeah.
And she tries to go at her own pace. So I will say that. And now the legendary taking long in the bathroom. What are your thoughts on that?
This is an ongoing drama that it seems like this story never ends with pro tennis. The Azarenkas, the Tsitsipas, how many times has this happened with these bathroom breaks that only seem to happen like this in very pivotal moments of a tennis match when there's a lot at stake. And I don't get how it can continue to be okay. But, at the end of the day, once again, maybe we need some umpire reform. Maybe they need to be reprimanded or penalized. Hey, you took longer than you were supposed to for your bathroom break. You're now down love 30 in this game.
Yeah.
I bet you it won't happen again. I bet it won't, This problem would disappear in a heartbeat. So, I don't know. I think that, once again, they're playing for big money. They're playing for high pressure. Iga's right about that. And Iga's going, this is harmless. There's no consequence if I do this. Why would I not do it? I'm here to win. I don't care about Danielle Collins' emotions. I'm here to beat her. Iga's not wrong there. It's the umpire's job to make sure Iga doesn't think there's no consequences. And it's not Danielle's job to apply them, This is an umpire issue. So to me, Danielle Collins is right here. And Iga's right here. Iga's doing what's within her boundaries without consequence. And every athlete is a private contractor here for themselves that will do whatever it takes to win. None of them got to where they are without standing up for themselves and doing everything it takes to win. Especially those two. Danielle Collins and Iga specifically are great at it. Both of them. So, yeah, I think that this one is a little more gray area.
Okay. Iga should fear Danielle Collins hitting her with a backhand and maybe meeting her in the back of the parking lot. But let's talk about that. Right at her, air out. Do you think that was fair?
Of course I think that's fair. You know who I am. You know what I've done on a tennis court. I won't bring up my own personal stories on a podcast about pro tennis players, but look, all's fair in this game. If that ball was going to land in and you happen to be between that ball and the ground, not my problem. Obviously, this is a gentlewoman's sport, but all's fair in love and war. If you want my personal opinion on it, have your hands ready.
Yeah, I think that a lot of the times the pros try to be generous and try to go around them, and then they ended up missing.
Yeah.
So a lot of the time, just going straight down the middle is the easier shot to go.
Yeah.
So it does make sense why she did that.
Yeah.
And now lastly, what do you think? Do you think that Collins is right and that Iga is two-faced?
That I have no idea. But I don't see what benefit Collins would have in lying about that. So I find it interesting that she's saying, look, she's this media-friendly, gentle woman in front of the cameras, and she's not that off camera. That might be true. We don't know Iga to be the beloved locker room friend of all the players on the tour. She does not have that reputation. Sabalenka actually does.
Right.
So we do know that to be a fact, but we don't really know much more than that. So I will write this down in my little handy-dandy notebook, remember it, and see if there's a pattern down the road with Iga and her dynamic with other players. But as of right now, I'm not going to take it too seriously. I think Danielle Collins was upset at the situation and scenario, and she lashed out a little bit, and if she was in a good mood, or if she won, she probably wouldn't have said anything like that, She would have been in a better mood, probably shook her hand and said, thank you, this might be our last match, you're right, and moved on. But instead, she's like, screw you, I lost, and she's upset about it, so whatever. This is a Collins fan and a Swiatek fan you're listening to. Thank you.
and just to throw a little bit of love to the Americans, Townsend, she beat the number 9 seed Patupova, I believe, but she is the 9 seed in City Open.
Ooh.
And as you well know, we did skip the Wimbledon, but she did win the Wimbledon doubles.
I was just about to say that. She did win a slam.
So just to throw a little bit of a good cheer for the Americans in these rough times.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that?
I'm a big Taylor Townsend fan. Obviously, I'm never going to meet Taylor Townsend, so I'm going to say whatever I feel like on this podcast. If she could stay in actual tip-top athletic shape, I think she's a top 20 player on the tour. I think she's got one of the best ground strokes. She's got loopy spin and weight behind her ball. Her hands are sick. Her serve's got action. To me, she's special, but her fitness is probably not even top 100 in terms of her physical health on court.
Right.
So I think that she's her own worst enemy. Her talent is limitless. So I don't know if there's a health issue. I don't know the reasoning. I don't know her story. But I have seen her play in person multiple times. I have followed her career. And it's not a talent issue is all I can say.
Yes.
I mean, she was with Leylah Fernandez doing great in doubles a year ago. You know, she had a sprouting singles return before, and she still wasn't even in shape yet. She was making some noise. So, I don't know. I don't know with players like that what it is. If maybe they're uncompromising with their lifestyles and they don't want to live the boring Djokovic life and they want to just play, you know, and live a good life and make some money at some tournaments. Some people are like that. I don't know.
She's like Donald Young, very talented. Really good racket head control and everything. Mm-hmm. But yeah, just staying in shape. If she would get in shape more, obviously she would be a better athlete. She's big server, big forehand. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So staying with Iga, I could bring this up anytime, but it's relevant to me as we speak. So there was a commentator who said that Iga could win Wimbledon if she would play her own play style, that she's trying to make too many adjustments, and that once Nadal decided to play his game, he started to win Wimbledon. It was Wilander, if I'm not mistaken, who said that. Do you agree? Do you think that if Iga were to play her game, she could win Wimbledon?
So if Iga played Wimbledon the way she plays clay,
she would win.
She would win Wimbledon.
Top spin, opening up the court.
I don't know about that. I don't think that. So here's the thing. I think that Nadal's ball is better. Nadal's ball against his peers on the tour in comparison to Iga's ball versus her peers on the tour. I'm not sure if we're going to get the same level of disparity between the ball and the players from men's to women's. Nadal's ball is still jumping over people's shoulder and running away from their backhand on grass. Iga's ball is just opening the court only. It's not doing that much action on grass. So I don't know if she's physical enough for that to be valid. I'm not sure I agree, but I would love to see it because what she's currently doing is not working. And I think that trying to create a play style that doesn't suit what you do 8 months out of the year, you know, I feel like it's the, what does they call it? 1 step forward, 2 steps back.
Yes.
You know, you're trying to reinvent the wheel. You know, just work with what you have and make it the best it can be and see what happens there. I think that there's some validity to that, and we've already seen that the other way doesn't work. So it's worth a try. I just don't think if there's phenomenal grass court players on the tour for women, Iga's play style as it is enough.
All she needs to do is add a penetrating slice with her ability to open up the court, and she would be a threat.
That's fair.
So if she were to do that, she would be winning more Wimbledons for sure.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And then lastly, before we get to the men, 8 different champions since 2016 at the on the women's side. So nobody's repeated. Do you think that the women's game is wide open?
On grass.
Grass, yes.
Yes, I do. And that's why I think Wilander might be on to something with this, because who's the grass court specialist that she's afraid of? Rybakina?
Yeah.
You know, there's there's not really anyone who's
Sabalenka, maybe.
Yeah, they're not doing what they need to do to dominate on the surface themselves. At this point, Iga doesn't even have to beat them to win it. They're getting beaten by other people. So I think that there's an opportunity here because grass is wide open on the women's side of the tour. The people who hit flat in slices, the Bardys are gone. I think that Barty was that person. I think Barty could have just monopolized Wimbledon, but that's probably the only player I can think of.
Right.
So unfortunately, there's no one with a play style that suits that. We have two massive hitters in Rybakina and Sabalenka. Then we have probably the most athletic out of the top 5, which is Coco Gauff, where she's technically probably, on a technical aspect, the weakest of the top 5, but is the most athletic. Then we have the Iga, who's probably the best player all around, but her playstyle caters to spin and opening the court and grinding. There's no one. There's no one whose style is a threat in the top 5 for grass. So it's interesting. All of them are one shot away, though.
That's true.
All of them. Just as quickly as you say Iga needs just a great slice, what happens if Rybakina hits that knife slice?
That's true.
It's a wrap.
With her pace,
yeah, it's a wrap.
That makes a lot of sense. And her big serve.
Yeah, so it's just who's going to figure it out first.
Right.
We'll see.
Yes. So we covered a lot with the women. I'm not going to talk too much about the men. I'll just do it real quick. So obviously we're going to the men now. Obviously there's a couple of retirements. I will mention that at the end. But Nuno Borges won Bastad, beating Nadal. Then we have Berrettini winning Gustad. Fils beats Zverev.
Crazy. And there was some...
Yeah, I will talk about that real quick. And then Giron won the grass court tournament. We'll get to Fils right now. So he hit an underhand serve. And he said, I was just trying to breathe. I couldn't get going.
Yeah.
And I got booed. I don't care. I'm here to win.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Look, this might be like the ongoing theme of this episode, which is I'm not here to satisfy anyone but my statistics, results, and prize money. I'm a private contractor. I'm an individual in an individual sport. If I worried about pleasing anyone besides myself and my results, I'd probably not be where I am today. Look, he won the tournament. He used an underhand serve on a grass court. What better surface could you use it on besides maybe clay? That's an intelligent shot, whether he's tired or not. And it's a proven strategy that works. So I like it.
I agree. I mean, you're there to win the match.
Yeah.
And he did it. And now the big story to me from that grass court tournament was Opelka coming back. But a surf bot lost 0-2 to Michelson. How are you, as a surf bot, is it acceptable to lose 0-2?
No, you're supposed to lose in tiebreakers, dummy. No, but this is him making his return. This is his tune-up. And in his defense, I think he looked promising if you saw all his matches he's had so far and you see what he's doing with his racket. I think there are opportunities for us to see Opelka be better than he used to be. So I haven't watched anything he's done since then. I don't know if he's even played since then, but keep an eye on Opelka. I do think the serve bot shall be back to what he used to be.
Yes, I agree with that massive slice he hit a couple of years ago on that ad side. That was crazy. Yes, with that trajectory, you're not hitting that. But now we're going to get to Ben Shelton. McEnroe made a very interesting comment. But before then, he was the top seed in Atlanta. Ended up losing to Shane Jun Chang, who is 3-0 against Ben Shelton. So that's not the big story. The big story, the point of that was for this. John McEnroe said that he does not mind putting Ben Shelton in the new big three. Sinner, Alcaraz, Ben Shelton. We've talked about, well, who is the third member of the big three? Holger Rune, McEnroe says it's Ben Shelton, but he's losing to guys that,
there's no way.
And then I have another stat on him. What are your thoughts? Do you think he is part of the new big three? McEnroe thinks he should be there.
I don't understand why McEnroe said that. Ben Shelton can't find a string of consistency on the tour. I think he's a great athlete. I think he's a good player. I don't think he's in the conversations that we should be having about Sinner and Alcaraz.
Right.
Alcaraz.
Alcaraz.
I don't see it. I don't understand that. I would love to hear him make that case.
Yeah, he needs to have some results. And where you're the top seed, at least make the finals, There was nobody in Atlanta.
Let me just say this. The baseline barometer, in my opinion, if you want to be part of the new big three, the baseline barometer is you beat the seeds that are lower than your number.
Right.
If you're 10 in the world, but you beat everyone that's 11 to 200, cool. Call yourself new big three. If you're losing to guys that are 50, 60, 70, guys I've never heard of, guys that no one talks about, that's fine. It happens. This is pro tennis. You are not the new big three, though. There's just no way. The new big three are guys that are supposed to be favorites for slams, in conversations for carrying the torch forward. We're talking about if Alcaraz is saving men's tennis, not can Alcaraz beat this guy next week who's 79 in the world. We're not even having that conversation because he's supposed to do it. With Shelton, we are worried about what he'll do and where he'll do it. We are talking about how at Laver Cup he's just probably a doubles guy. These are the conversations we have with his name in the pot. So I think that needs to change first.
I agree. He needs to beat the people that he's supposed to beat. That's why Sakari, having all these losses, is not out of the top 12 yet. Mm-hmm. That's why she remains. Mm-hmm. So you need to beat the people that you need to beat. Yeah. And he should have at least made the final of Atlanta.
Yeah.
But congratulations to Nishioka, who won it. But but now Jordan Thompson, he defeated Jordan Thompson.
Yeah.
But now the Bryan brothers, which were the captains of Team USA, they said if Ben Shelton and Tiafoe, who did not go, if their choice is to peak at the US Open, they understand why they didn't go. Because they said it's hard to go from clay to grass, back to clay, back to hard court. But if you are part of the new big three, shouldn't you be able to handle that? Alcaraz is doing it. Sinner, well, we'll get to him in a bit. He would have done it.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I don't agree with that. Look, if I'm in Shelton's shoes, my top priority is probably peaking where I can get my ranking to match the hype. Let's be very realistic here. I don't know how much of a realist Ben Shelton and his team are, but should he put all that effort and energy into the Olympics on clay with his play style, or should he try to lock in and prep correctly for the hard court circuit, where it will actually impact the trajectory of his future and career? Let's be real here. What are the odds that Ben Shelton medals at the Olympics?
Yeah, low.
They're extremely low. What are the odds of him making noise at the US Open? I think they're pretty high. He hasn't had a bad year, and with the right preparation and maybe some timing and luck, maybe he can catch some of these guys in transition from the clay series, coming back to hard. Maybe he comes off the blocks a little sooner than they do. This could be an opportunity, in my opinion. So for him in particular, and maybe even for Tiafoe, I think Tiafoe, riding off the wave of confidence he got from giving maybe the most difficult run for Alcaraz at Wimbledon, maybe he's going, all right, I'm not going to waste my time there. I'm going to take this momentum and carry it into the next slam. And to me, those are both very good calculated decisions for both of them.
Obviously, Federer would skip the French Open a lot later on in his career.
Yeah.
Nadal did it too. But that was later on.
Yeah.
So to be part of the new big three, he's still a young player.
Yeah.
So you need to perform on all surfaces.
For sure.
Until you get later in your career, then you're okay. I already won the French Open. Federer already won. Nothing to prove now, but he still has a lot to prove.
Yeah, he does.
So I honestly, if you want to be part of that new big three, don't agree.
I agree with. If you want to be the new big three, why not do it?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So now we're gonna go with Sinner, but before that, the doubles rankings were actually very interesting. They were ranked by singles ranking. So Sinner and Musetti would have been the number 1 seed in the doubles draw.
Wow.
But Sinner withdrew from the Olympics. He's been battling a nagging injury himself. Are you concerned for him for the hard court season?
A little bit. This doesn't seem to be a fluke injury. He seems to be taking it very seriously. And I think that he might need legitimate time off and rest, because it seems like he's trying to kind of nickel and dime time on the tour and protect his ranking, protect points, show up places and show face. And he might need to actually get full-on recovery time and rest for this injury and just show up when you're 100%. That might be in his best interest, but, it seems like it's making a difference on the court for him when he does show up. So it might be time to just call it quits for a bit.
Yeah, he had a tonsillitis, but the main concern was the hip.
Yeah.
So I'm actually a little concerned for him.
Yeah.
But hopefully he could recover. So now, before getting to the Olympics, we're going to talk about the ranking. So the big moves this week. Cerundolo is jumped up 11 spots to 26 in the world.
Okay, that makes sense.
Berrettini winning his draw or his tournament, jumped up 10 spots to 40 in the world.
Good for him.
Nishioka winning Atlanta 36 spots to the top 50. Gaston jumping 30 spots to 61. And then the big jump was the Ben Shelton Slayer. Shang Jun Cheng 3-0. Jumping 16 spots to 73 in the world.
Interesting.
What are your thoughts on those ranking hikes?
Some of those made a lot of sense. Cerundolo in particular, he's just been playing consistent, good tennis. He's kind of been in that unknowns pack. If you're not a real diehard tennis guy, who the hell is he? But if you really watch tennis, he's just been consistently popping up and performing. He's a good player. I'm glad to see that his ranking is reflecting that, and hopefully that helps him get a little bit easier draws, so he's not having to beat top 32 players to get anywhere every time he gets on a court.
Right, I agree. So now we're going to get to the Olympics. Holger Rune withdrew, which opened up a spot for the double specialist Matthew Ebden.
Hey.
He got spanked by Novak Djokovic, 0-1. And then he said, I am retiring from singles.
Okay.
Period. Okay. He is a double specialist. What are your thoughts on that?
That's hilarious. But look, he has my highest respects for showing up and getting thrown to the freaking wolves at the Olympics. Could you imagine? Hey, he's out. You're in, kid. You walk up, it's Novak Djokovic, who's never got a gold medal, and just looking at you as food. I don't blame him for that loss. To me, that's fine. Go do your thing in doubles. That is hilarious, though. That's funny.
Yes, and a little side note, this is actually pretty cool. This year, Olympic medals will contain 0.04 pounds of iron from the Eiffel Tower.
Oh, wow.
So I thought that was pretty cool. The French are really going after showing the world what they're about.
Yeah.
Any thoughts? Do you have anything to say?
That's really awesome. There's some mixed reviews about the French Olympics. There's been some great things and some bad things.
Yes.
But with all that said, it has been a good exhibition or a good showcase of athleticism this year at the overall Olympics.
Yes.
I will say that. It's been very good to watch the sports themselves. Now, as far as everything outside the sports that's happened at this medium and platform that is the French Olympics, I don't know. There's a lot to be said about it.
Yes.
I have a lot of reservations, but this isn't one of those kind of podcasts.
Right.
So I'll save them, but I will say the tennis has been good. The other sports have been good.
They've been great.
I've been having a great time watching everything.
Oh, yes.
So, yeah.
Yes, exactly. And fortunate for me, just going to France a couple of months ago, I'm still in that time zone type
You're
thing.
living there when you watch.
So I'm just watching, no big deal. Yeah, so kind of big news. I mean, this is kind of boring at this point. Holger Rune splits with Martagaliu again. For reals this time? Please? What are your thoughts?
I think they need to just call it quits. I saw the written letter. It's not you, it's me. It's not me, it's you. And we love each other. And I wish you the best and you wish me the best. And it's just not the right time because you were too young. I was too old. What the heck are we doing, man? You guys didn't even do anything, So I don't want to hear anything about Holger Rune and coaches for a year. Mr. New Big Three, This guy is... I don't know who the nutty person is, who's the inconsistent person, who's the issue in all of this. Is it one of those two, or is it someone else within the circle? I don't know. But something needs to become consistent with that whole orbit around Holger Rune.
Yeah.
So it just seems too streaky and inconsistent, and it's showing in his results. We can't get a steady, high-level result from him. And he's more than capable of it. So it's confusing.
The fact that Martagaliu even went back to Holger Rune after the breakpoint incident where he said, you need to do something, do your job. And then he went back to him. That's just insane. You're a glutton for punishment.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make sense. So now we're going to talk about Nadal. So today they lost to a real doubles team. Yeah. They lost to Krajicek.
And
Rajiv Ram, the mini Pete Sampras. So obviously everybody was hoping that they'd at least make it to the semifinals. Maybe you not because of Americans, but they got outplayed. And as a matter of fact, Alcaraz to me looked like the weaker link.
He did. He truly was the weakest link on the court.
Yes. What are your thoughts on Nadal and Alcaraz?
Look, in my opinion, they had an incredible run. Let's be real here. Alcaraz's high-level doubles IQ might not be existent. That might be a stretch to say, but when he's on the court with Rajiv Ram, Krajicek, and Nadal, he's a little fish in that pond. And it showed. And this is one of those things where if him and Nadal had done 2 or 3 tournaments prior, this result could have been different.
I agree.
But because they didn't, and they went against guys who really do this year after year after year for more than a decade, yeah, this is what's supposed to happen. This was not an upset. This wasn't surprising. This was an accurate result, in my opinion. I don't think that Alcaraz or Nadal should feel bad.
I don't either. I agree.
They to me, they had an incredible run. Them medaling would have been a complete crazy story in itself, let alone them beating Rajiv Ram, who to me, he's one of my top 5 favorite doubles players.
Oh, for sure.
I love his serve motion. I love Pete Sampras. And he is just incredible at doubles. So I'm a fan.
Yeah, they were constantly at the net, put volleys to the sides. There was no way they could beat that team with the style that they played.
Yeah.
And Alcaraz was just playing kind of low IQ doubles. Let's just be frank about it.
Yeah.
But they did beat the number 6 seed in the first round. Mm-hmm. So that was a pretty big victory for them. So too bad they didn't have a different draw. Mm-hmm. But now we're going to get to the Nadal-Djokovic match. But before that, Nadal did make his first final in a couple of years. Mm-hmm. He did say that he's been battling a hip problem as well. Mm-hmm. So we know about Murray battling hip. So the fact that he's been playing the way he's playing is commendable.
Yeah.
So now let's talk about the match. He just looked, I don't want to say old, but I'm going to have to say old. He couldn't get off the corner. Mm-hmm. What Alcaraz did to Djokovic, that's what Djokovic did to Nadal.
Yeah.
That pattern of Nadal's forehand to Djokovic's backhand, it worked. Djokovic would kill him when his hip was good.
Yeah.
And now that it's bad, he's opening up that court even more. Mm-hmm. So it was just terrible to see.
Yeah.
He was up 4-0 Djokovic in the second set. At least he made it a set, though.
Yeah.
But what are your thoughts on the Nadal-Djokovic match?
Yeah, I mean, To be frank, I had a few buddies of mine reach out. Some of them have been on this show and just ask me, like, what are your thoughts going into seeing this match? And I went, look, you're seeing a fraction of who Nadal is against a salivating, bloodthirsty Djokovic, who just came off of what probably was an upsetting loss for him at a Grand Slam final. It shouldn't be close.
Right.
It shouldn't be close in theory. If it's anything relatively close, we should be less celebratory for Nadal and more concerned for Djokovic if it's close. Because we got to call a spade a spade. Nadal is a fraction of himself, and that's not going to change. Djokovic, on the other hand, has only been kind of out of form slightly. He's still a top 4 in the world player right now. So I think that we got the exact result we needed to see, even if it's not what we wanted to see.
Right.
We saw that Djokovic is still healthy. He can get a medal here. He can get a gold medal here, possibly. And that Nadal is on his way out the door, and that maybe smaller tournaments and doubles is exactly where he should be, and take a similar route to Andy Murray, who came back and just did doubles for a bit.
Right.
And then he transitioned into singles later.
Right. Whether or not he'd want to do it, I don't think he would. But I think he's an excellent doubles player. He proved it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he wants to go that route. But now let's talk about Djokovic. Okay, he beat an ailing Nadal. He won his match today. He's gonna play Stefano Tsitsipas. His road now is gonna get tough.
Yeah.
He's gonna play Tsitsipas, potentially Zverev, and then the Novak Djokovic Slayer potentially. Alcaraz. Do you give him a chance to win the medal? Now, before you answer that, this is the first time since 2005 he's gone into the month of August without a title, period. Does he need this gold medal?
I think it's not necessarily about how long it's been since he got a title this year. I think he needs this gold medal because he knows it's his last chance to get it. No gold medal this year means no gold medal in his list of accolades he's collected. Is this, in my opinion, the toughest Olympics draw he's ever had? Actually, yes. I think he has a very difficult draw. And I've seen people online laughing and saying he has an easy draw this year. He had an easy first round, as a top player in history should. And that's where it stops. His second round was Nadal, who's old, but it's still Nadal at Roland Garros. Then he's still got to deal with Stefanos, a great clay court player. Then he's got who's right after that?
Zverev. Potentially.
A great clay court player. Then Alcaraz, the best clay court player on earth right now. I don't know if I could write a tougher draw. On paper. I don't know if I could come up with one. Maybe make Sinner his first round. That's probably as hard as I can make it get. These are most of the who's of clay in between him and a gold medal. If he gets this, I think Djokovic takes a break the rest of the year, and maybe we just see him in January at Australia. And he goes, look, I did what I need to do in the year of 2024. I will come back for everything that is Djokovic next year, and I will recover and feel better and have a coach by then. But yeah, this is crazy. If he gets this gold medal, I will be blown away, and it would be deserved to be filmed as a movie.
I agree that he'll definitely deserve it. Maybe there is a little bit of payback for that easy draw at Wimbledon.
Fair.
Again, a lot of people were saying, well, that was Alcaraz's fault for dropping the 2 seed. If he was the 2 seed, he would have had that draw. But I will say this. This is off topic, but tennis fans are very fickle. As soon as Alcaraz lost to Zverev at Australian Open, they're all, oh my goodness, he's done. Sinner's better. And when Alcaraz played Sinner at Indian Wells, I thought to myself, he has the game plan to beat Sinner. And that turned everything around. And now look at him now. Now everybody's praising him. Oh, he's going to beat Djokovic. He's going to beat everybody.
Yeah.
So just hold your horses. Chill out.
I'll let you continue. You're probably going to get to this. Are you going to discuss what Alcaraz's draw is at the Olympics?
I wasn't going to, but he just beat Saufalin. And
I just want to say up next, he's going against a guy,
Tommy Paul.
He's going against Tommy Paul,
who does have Alcaraz does have a winning record against him, but Paul plays him tough.
They have very, very tough matches against each other.
Yes.
And guess who doesn't have a coach in their corner at this tournament?
Right.
This could be a plot twist. So I just say all that to say Tommy Paul versus Alcaraz without a coach. Best out of 3, not 5. This could be interesting.
Yes, that is true. And then, well, obviously you're not going to see him as a big threat, but in the wings is the clay court specialist himself, Casper Ruud, waiting for Alcaraz.
Come on, next topic.
And moving on. All right. So this is actually a really good topic.
Okay.
Ferrero was saying that he's not going to coach Alcaraz for very, very long.
Mm-hmm.
He said that the plan from the beginning was for him to develop as a human being and as a player. And by between the age of 23 and 25, he was going to be out. So now everybody was, oh my, Nadal constantly coaching Alcaraz. Alcaraz just standing there, not saying anything when Nadal was saying stuff. Do you think Nadal may retire soon, obviously? Do you think Nadal could coach Alcaraz? He did go to the academy, Nadal's academy. Is that a possibility if he retires, if Ferrero stops coaching him fast enough?
I do think it's a possibility. I do. But I also really, out of the big 3, Djokovic, Federer, Nadal, in my opinion, Nadal's the one you see the least when they retire. I don't really imagine him being on tour after just having his kid. And I do see him as probably trying to be more of a full-time dad. To me, he just seems like that kind of guy who takes it overly serious. And I don't mean that in a negative. But as in, he's going to be with his kid 24/7, not on the tour following around Alcaraz. So, would I like to see it? Is it possible? And would Alcaraz bring Nadal on board? I think he would. I think he possibly would. But I don't think Nadal would want to do that for himself. And on top of that, I don't think that Alcaraz's game plan for himself is to always have coaches. It sounds to me like he really is trying to develop into an independent thinker and a critical thinker on the court. And he's actually showing that he's gotten better at it.
That's true.
The guy we saw 2 or 3 years ago versus the guy we're seeing now, Alcaraz is making adjustments on the fly in matches without his coach as well. So I think that 2025, or when he's 23 to 25, that's a good timeline.
Yeah, and not that Ferrero was going to be able to coach him anyway, but if he wins right now without being coached and a game plan...
Huge statement.
Yeah, for sure.
That's true.
And now the last 2 topics. This is actually a funny one. On X, Alcaraz was interviewed, and he said that of all the players, he claimed that the funniest player on the tour is Tiafoe. He said that if he were to ever go to a club, he would have his wingman would be Tiafoe.
Interesting.
Obviously, there was drama with the clown thing.
Yeah.
There's a follow-up story on that. But what are your thoughts on Alcaraz high praise with Tiafoe?
It seems like, I mean, we talked a little bit about in the locker room dynamics between players earlier. Tiafoe seems very beloved in the locker room or with other athletes and players. People tend to like him and think he's a good time. He's lighthearted. He's upbeat, especially other American players and maybe the Laver Cup players as well. So maybe that's what it is.
And now the really funny part, the loudmouth. It wasn't Tiafoe. It was Holger Rune, according to Alcaraz. He said he's the loudmouth, the trash talker. Everybody labels Tiafoe the trash talker because he follows the NBA. He wants the crowd noise and all that. And supposedly, when Alcaraz said that, Holger Rune unfollowed him.
Really?
Yes.
Sensitive.
What are your thoughts on that?
That's pretty funny. And once again, this speaks to the turbulent mind of Holger Rune, who parted ways with his coach.
Right.
Rekindled spirits with his coach. Parted ways with his coach. Kicked his mom out the stadium. Now he wants his mom there. You know, it just seems like he is a very turbulent human. And I think he needs time to level out. And I think he knows that. I guarantee you that he probably did a big giant apology to Martoglu and said, "I'll never do that again, and I'm a new man." Martoglu said, "Fine, I'll come back," and then he relapsed, And Martoglu went, "You're the same guy as last time. We can't do this," and they parted ways again. So I think that Holger Rune has some internal demons he needs to settle the score with before he becomes who he needs to be.
Yes, he definitely has that aura of just negativity and always being in a bad mood, trash talky type. So I'm not surprised by Alcaraz saying that. But now the follow-up story to the clown incident. Tiafoe said, I'm just going to read it. "I really didn't mean it in a bad way. I use loose words like that all the time. People are going to take it how they want to take it. I'm super chill with everybody on the tour. I felt like I should have been doing better. Respectfully so, last year I was 10 in the world. Yeah, I think it got taken the wrong way. At the same time, everyone on tour was laughing with me because it's me. I think it was all good fun in the end." Do you buy that? Do you really think that that's what he meant?
Yes. Yeah, I do. I do think, here's what I think what he meant, and here's what I think he was thinking. I'll give you both. I think that what he meant to say in that moment was, I think very highly of myself. I should not be losing to seeds that are not within the realm of me. I shouldn't lose to anyone ranked more than 10 spots below me. And I should be competing with guys 10 spots above me. I'm Tiafoe. I was number 10 in the world last year. I was competing with the number one kid in the planet. That's what he meant to say. What was he thinking? How in the hell am I losing to these losers? These guys are supposed to lose. I'm supposed to win. That's what he was thinking internally, and he's supposed to think that. There's nothing wrong with, I think we've said this before, with being a little arrogant internally as a professional player on the tour.
Right.
Should you be vocalizing it to press? No. But I think that he really does feel that he was underperforming to his own standard and that he's not a loser and he shouldn't be losing. I do think those are two factors that were involved. And he used the word clown, which, especially in certain cultures, is a complete slap in the face. So I think he did insult players. I think that some players on the tour probably aren't, that's Tiafoe. I think some people probably did take it as an insult. But I do believe that his intention wasn't to hurt or insult anyone else. I do believe that.
I do think that he meant it. That's what he thought for sure.
Yeah.
So I'm not buying this apology.
If this was an apology, I don't buy it either.
Yeah, I'm not buying it at all. Mm-hmm. Yes, he is liked, but again, he should have just kept his mouth shut. Mm-hmm. A lot of fans are thinking, well, he is a clown to begin with. So, the fact that he said that was just not smart.
Yeah.
But here he revealed that the following day after making that comment, the Stanimal, Wawrinka, and Berrettini came up to him and told him, "It's a good thing we didn't play you last year." I guess they don't want to be called clowns.
Yeah.
Especially the Stanimal, who has 3 Grand Slams competing with the big 3. What are your thoughts on that funny anecdote?
That is funny. And Stan Wawrinka and Berrettini are both guys who have done really great big things and have been highly respected and are probably not in the best light right now and probably would have fit the mold of the Tiafoe agenda pretty well. So that's funny that they said that because it would have been really funny if he did play them. It would have fit the mold a little bit.
Right.
But yeah, Tiafoe, I do think it's he does get a bad rap. I do think that he is kind of looked at as arrogant, the loudmouth, the trash talker. I think he has a worse perception than his reality. I do think that. I remember I used to go to bat for him like 4 or 5 years ago. People used to say he's trash, he's not a good player, he's not talented. And I was like, are we seeing the same person on the tour?
Right.
What are you talking about? This guy is going forehand to forehand patterns with Federer and winning them. This guy's not trash. Are his ground strokes ugly? Yeah.
Pretty much.
They're
yes.
ugly. It's a serve motion a little janky. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a little janky. Is he a great sequence creator, coming forward, ending points early, cutting off the ball, taking his forehand early? Yes. Very good. So I've always recognized those things. So it's a little weird that because his style, in my opinion, is not likable, that he's got a lot of people calling him a clown early and saying he's not a serious player, he's not that talented. Look, it doesn't have to be pretty. It has to be effective.
Right.
He is an effective player, in my opinion.
And Alcaraz did say prior to their match that he has the game plan to compete against him. And that was Alcaraz's toughest match.
Yeah.
He has a penetrating slice on grass. So he does have the tools to compete.
Yeah.
So, and now the last topic, the retirements. So Angelique Kerber said that today that the Olympics was going to be her last event. She lost to Kinwin. She has 3 Grand Slams, 14 WTA titles, and 34 weeks at number 1. And she had a war with Serena in 2016 at the Australian Open.
Don't remind me.
Yes. And honestly, I hate that she did this, but the little squat backhand, everybody thought that was the rave, the last thing, But
yeah, I like that shot.
But let's be frank, that's just bad footwork. Nice hand.
It's your boy.
What are your thoughts on the career of Angelique Kerber?
Look, I hated Angelique Kerber because she robbed Serena of an opportunity. Then I learned to love Angelique Kerber because she pioneered making bad footwork look cool. And look, me with a guy with bad footwork, I kind of took notes, all right? I went, I'm out of position. Or am I? And switch, squat down low or something on the backhand. I've taken some notes from Angelique Kerber. So I think that she'll go down in history as a pioneer, a slam winner, and a heartbreaker as well. So to me, she's made her mark and her stamp on the sport, and she can walk away feeling very accomplished. She's done things statistically, she's done things culturally, and she's done things maybe visually as well. And you can't really ask for much more than that.
Right.
That's more than 99% of athletes in tennis will ever do.
That's true.
So my respects to her. The squat backhand will probably get used for another 10 years. Love it or hate it, some really good players are doing it. There's some really good players doing it right now. So she's got my respect.
And obviously Hall of Famer for sure.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
Good for her. And now the big one, obviously Andy Murray. He's playing tomorrow in the doubles. Obviously we don't know if he's going to win or not, so we'll just mention him. Hall of Fame career as well. Wimbledon champion. We've talked about making a statue at Wimbledon for him. But he saved in the first round. He saved 5 match points against the Japanese team, Nishikori. And then in the second round, he saved 2 match points. So
typical Andy Murray.
Andy Murray stuff, legendary career. What are your thoughts on Andy Murray?
Look, Andy Murray, I mean, this is a guy who was in conversations of the Big Four, collected his slams. He collected so many titles, just actual titles in general. Great on every surface, in my opinion. And the only back-to-back gold medalist in singles at the Olympics. Djokovic could never. Literally. But yeah, so he has one of the few records that Djokovic doesn't, which is pretty cool. And you want to talk about someone who's beloved in the locker room by the whole tour. Andy Murray is loved by everyone except for maybe Fognini. No, that's his only real enemy on the tour. Andy Murray you want to talk about someone, let's talk about impact. The lob. The Andy Murray lob will go down in history. The Andy Murray overhead retrieval will go down in history. The Andy Murray grunt on his serve, that'll go down in history. On top of that, him being going blow for blow with the big three for all those years and collecting that many titles, his accolades and statistics speak for themselves. And I think, in my opinion, he was the greatest student of the big 3/4. He definitely, to me, came out with the least weapons and did the most without them. So I think he's an absolute legend. I think he should get enrolled in the Hall of Fame tomorrow. And I hope he has a great happy ending here at the Olympics.
Yes, he actually did a lot with women as well with their pay. He was advocating for them consistently. Obviously, we know that Wimbledon was among the last slam to really pay them equal pay. And he was constantly not fighting, but advocating for the women. So he's really loved by both tours for sure.
Yeah.
And Fognini's a lunatic. He lost a bet. That's why he has blonde hair. So if one person doesn't like him and it's Fognini, it's good for him.
Yeah.
So is there anything else you'd like to add?
I think that's it.
All right. In that case, I hope you guys were entertained.
ATP. See you guys next time.
Until next week.